Hi, my name is Jaina. I'm a first year geographer at Queen's College, and what you're about to see is an example of a geography interview at Queen's College.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Willis.
Nice
Please come
to
in.
meet you.
Take off your jacket and make yourself at home.
If you've been invited for an interview, well done. The interviews are just one part of the application process, so they are nothing to worry about. Try not to be nervous. I know it's really hard. Don't feel like you have to dress a certain way or act a certain way in the interview. Just be yourself and try to relax.
We're thrilled to have you here for the interview. We're going to have about 20 minutes to discuss a number of questions. I will ask you some questions and then Rachael will ask you some questions. And our effort really is not to prove you wrong or to figure out what you don't know. What we want to do is get a sense of who you are, what you're passionate about in geography, and why you would like to be a part of our community. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Great. So I will ask you some questions, and at the end you'll have the chance to ask us any questions that you might have.
At Queen's College there is a geography interview that lasts between 20 and 30 minutes, but at different colleges there's changes and obviously it's different for different subjects too. So you may have multiple interviews and your interview may also last different amounts of time.
Our first question is, can you tell us what about geography comes to you from where you come from?
So I think the main thing for me is I live in London, which is like a world city, and I think that's quite key to my identity. Obviously it's a melting pot of lots of different cultures, lots of different people. You get people living from different social classes on the streets right next to each other, lots of different cultures interacting every day. In the interview you will be talking about your subject out loud, which might not have been something that you've done before. So it might be a good idea to practice either with a teacher or a parent so that you can familiarise yourself with an interview type of environment.
So the city is an important theme in geography, and in the study of cities in geography we're very interested in questions of inequality. Why or how do you see that in the way that you approach or understand London? I'm Willis. I'm the fellow in geography here at Queen's, which we also call a director of studies. Our objective in doing these interviews informally is not to catch you out or try to figure out what you don't know or why you shouldn't be at Queen's. What we really want to get from you is a sense of your passion for the subject. When we're asking you questions, we don't want to know what you don't know. We want to get a sense of how you are curious, which kinds of ideas motivate you.
I think it's quite a key part of London's identity. I think it's something that's widely discussed as well in London politics. You get sort of a working class that feels underrepresented in politics in London, and then you have sort of the quite wealthy white collar professionals which exist. The interview is just a chance to get to know you. So if the interviewers ask you questions about topics that you don't know or you're unsure about anything, feel free to ask them to expand on the questions or let them know that you haven't yet studied those topics in school, and just try and give it your best shot if you can. Could you repeat the question?
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
So you might have noticed, or you will notice, that sometimes answers to questions seem like they didn't get the full distance. Right? And in other times, we have a conversation that moves much longer. Both of those things are fine. They're okay. It's not one thing is right or the other thing is wrong. No one knows everything, and we don't want to seek that in individuals themselves.
Sort of seeing the stark contrast between wealth directly is quite shocking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it sort of raises questions to me about why this is allowed to happen in such a wealthy country, and especially within such a wealthy city.
Mm-hmm. What kinds of questions does it raise for you then?
Questions about if it's morally acceptable to treat certain residents in our city or in our country with different levels of respect, I guess, almost, because if the homeless people are just allowed to live there and they're not receiving any support from the government,
mm-hmm.
then surely that shows that the government doesn't care about them as much as it does about, say, wealthier residents.
Mm-hmm. You should keep in mind as well that when we're doing the interview, we're excited to meet you and to get a sense of who you are and why you might want to come to Queen's.
So I picked this up on the way here today on the street in Cambridge, and I wondered if you could talk to me a bit about what you perceive this to mean about geography. I'm Dr. Rachael Turton. I'm a teaching associate here in Queen's College for the physical geography part of the course. So when you're invited to interview at Queen's, there'll probably be two people that interview you. You might get some very broad questions and you might get some more very specific questions. And these might be on human geography topics, they might be on physical geography topics. But it doesn't really matter so much what your knowledge base is. What we're trying to do is get to know you and get to know what it is about geography that you're passionate about. So prepare for coming to the interview with your passions about geography, whether that's physical geography or human geography.
So it's clearly a plastic water bottle that someone's drunk out of. And if you found it on the side of the street, I would imagine someone had just sort of thrown it away mindlessly. So that sort of raises issues about recycling and plastic pollution. And I think there's been a lot in the media and sort of it's been brought to the attention of lots of people in this country, sort of the current issue with our use of plastic and plastic waste. And I think people are really trying to make a conscious effort right now to reduce their plastic waste. And it's sort of fueled by things in the media like newspaper headlines, documentaries like David Attenborough documentaries, social media as well. So people realise that when they're sort of buying plastic like that, single-use plastic, and throwing it away, it has really big impacts which they wouldn't necessarily associate with it when they buy it, such as impacts on the turtles in the oceans far away. The aim of the interview is not to catch you out. You get to talk about topics that you are interested in and things that you've written on your personal statement. So make sure that ahead of your interview you have a quick look over your personal statement and refresh any ideas that you have about things that you've talked about within your personal statement.
Good. Very good. Great. So I think we're close to the end. I wonder if you have any questions for us.
No questions.
No questions.
No.
Great. Thank you very much for coming in. It's nice to meet you. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We hope you found this video useful and given you an insight into what interviews are like here at Queen's College. For more information, feel free to look at the Queen's College website for information on courses and more interview information.